see why we were picked as best bike shop in America. World of Bikes, 723 South Gilbert Street in Iowa City. Cyclists serving cyclists since 1974.
It's time for lawn cleanup. Don't wait. Call Carew Landscaping now. They specialize in all your lawn care needs. Carew Landscaping does fertilizing, mowing, aerating, pruning, and even gutter cleaning. All of your property management needs taken care of by Carew Landscaping. Carew has been in business for over 25 years and is licensed and insured. Carew Landscaping, keeping your yard great since '88. Call 338-0866 for a free, no-obligation estimate.
Meet your family and friends at Eastwood Sports Bar, located on Main Street in Solon, featuring daily lunch specials like loose meat and hot roast beef sandwiches. Eastwood's opens at 11:30 daily. Eastwood's with juicy roasted chicken, hot pizza, and your favorite adult beverage. Eastwood's on Main offers happy hour specials, and Tuesday it's all-you-can-eat wings. Eastwood Sports Bar, open 7 days a week on Main Street in Solon.
Who knows what dangers lurk inside your plumbing, from dripping faucets, clogged sewer lines, or a water heater that no longer heats? Master Plumber James Streets is licensed, insured, and bonded. Locally owned and operated, Streets Maintenance specializes in plumbing repairs that cover both faucet and water heater repairs, replacement to toilet repairs, sump pump replacements, and drain cleanings. Streets Maintenance also specializes in general repairs with mobile homes. Online at streetsmaintenance.com and Facebook, or call 400-4483. Streets Maintenance, honest plumbing at a fair price. Back to school. 3 words dreaded by school kids everywhere. But as a parent, you want your child to ride in a safe and secure vehicle to and from school every day. Walden Repair and Collision Center in Fairfax knows accidents happen and is your one-stop shop for all your collision needs. If an accident does happen to you or your child's vehicle, Walden Collision works with all insurance carriers and provides a lifetime warranty on all repairs. Online at waldenrepair.com or give them a call at 846-3434. Walden Repair also reminds you not to text and drive. And please keep your eyes on the road at all times. Quality is their priority, and Walden Repair wishes everyone a safe and successful school year.
From the Harty and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. A flash flood watch continues for the area. Scattered showers and thunderstorms, some with heavy rain. Temperatures in the low 70s to start your Labor Day. For the afternoon, more storms and pockets of heavy rain, highs into the low 80s. A little more sunshine, a touch warmer, up to 85 Tuesday, but still a chance of storms. Then the storm threat increases more for Wednesday and Thursday. Highs staying in the 70s with the clouds. That's your mighty 1630 KCJJ forecast. Currently it's 72.
Weather brought to you by the Westport Touchless Auto Washes at Walmart in Iowa City and Coralville's Hy-Vee. AllHawkeyes.com brought to you by Big Dog Internet. Big Dog TV and Internet, serving all of eastern Iowa with Dish, DirecTV, Internet, and more. Don't call an 800 number. Call Kevin and his crew. At Big Dog, call 338-6600. Zephyrs Printing and Design and imprinted ink on the Bed Mall. The Ox Yoke Inn. Supple's Flowers, the home of 1-800-800-ROSE. Sittler's LED Supplies. GT Carr and his crew at Supple Siding and Remodeling. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for cars. Steve Anderson, Hawkeye Title and Settlement, and Premier Automotive in North Liberty. Hit a deer, call Premier. From allhawkeyes.com, joining us is Pat Harty, and Coach Don Patterson's on the line.
Hi, Don. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Pat. How about yourself?
Not bad. It's a lot more fun talking after a victory and after a weekend like you had. And let's start with that. I mean, of course, we're going to talk about Iowa, Northern Illinois, but I was there Friday at the Fry Fest function, and I'll tell you, that crowd for your guys' panel, the 83 staff, is by far the biggest crowd I've seen at any one function within Fry Fest. It was incredible. What'd you think of that crowd looking out there, Don?
It was impressive that many people would take the time to show up and recognize us. I know it was meaningful for all the coaches. I know, Pat, that I speak for the entire staff when I offer a very heartfelt thank you to thousands of Hawkeye fans that made us feel appreciated on both Friday and Saturday. It was a wonderful 2 days.
just being back there with those, I'm sure it had to have a rush of memories, I'm sure. And I'm sure you guys had a lot of great stories to tell, a lot of reminiscing.
Yeah, we did. We had a private dinner on Thursday night, which was a lot of fun. We told a lot of funny stories. We did have a chance to check in with Coach Fry. We all had FaceTime or whatever you call it on these new phones, and talking to Coach Fry. I know he really hated to miss, and I had talked to him a couple of days earlier, and he said, I'm gonna see you up there a year from now, and I don't know if we'll get to see Coach Fry a year from now, but I certainly know his attitude is right. He's determined to get back here for another Fry Fest, and with a little bit of luck, we'll see him next year at the end of August.
Well, Donnie, let's turn our attention to the Hawkeye game Saturday. Certainly a lot of things to like. First half, maybe I might have chewed some fingernails a little bit, but the second half, things looked much better. What did you see from your chair?
Well, several things can come to mind for me. I've got a list of positives. There's 11 of those. And I've got a list of negatives. There are only 6 of those. So that's a good sign that we have more positive than negative comments to make.
Don, can I make one guess?
We were the more physical team, I think, throughout the game, especially as the game wore on. Here's a stat. If they kept it, then Northern would have easily won, and that would have been a stat of injury timeouts. It seemed like we had play stoppage half a dozen times for them, and they certainly were, I think, more beaten up than we were at the end of the game. So that's a good sign that we just seem to keep pushing them off the line of scrimmage, and I think our physical play took a little bit of a toll on them as the game wore on. If I had to pick one position group, though, guys, that I was most impressed with, it would have been our defensive line. There were five official sacks. There were many other pressures. Their quarterback had difficulty finding receivers, in part because we had decent coverage across the formation. But also, I think maybe more telling than that would be the pressure on the quarterback.
Constant.
So I was glad to see that. Especially, you notice in long yardage situations, we get into what some people call a radar defense. Basically, we're milling around up front. It's difficult for the offensive line to even figure out for sure who to block. I thought that was very effective for us. When we got them into 3rd and long, they were in big trouble. Talking about linebackers, I thought Neiman and Welch were off to solid starts at both the Sam and the Will backers. Monty Jones got off to a slow start. I'm sure you were aware of that.
Don, what was he doing wrong? Don, what was he? I mean, I wasn't focusing on him, but, boy, Phil didn't take any time to get him out. What did you see specific? Was he just taking the wrong gaps, or what was he doing?
Yeah, it looked to me like he was freelancing, and you know, of course, the key to playing great defense is to understand how you fit in compared to the other players. So my guess is he was just a little bit off the map, so to speak, in terms of honoring his reads and carrying out his assignments based on backfield flow, things like that. It seemed like he must have overrun us several plays, I think. I think we got backdoored a few times versus our middle backer. He was just antsy to play, and we all understand that. It was his first start. I couldn't help but notice when he was back in the game in the 4th quarter, he looked like he was on a mission. He was much more efficient with his play, and, of course, we never have to question his physicality. He's going to be very physical when he gets to the ball carrier. So that's a quick assessment of the linebackers, I think.
So do you think, Donnie,
go ahead.
Do you think that they'll start Jack Hockaday at middle linebacker?
You know, I don't know. That's I promise you that decision's not going to be made before those plays are thoroughly evaluated, and we're not in position to do that. Of course, we were just watching the game as it unfolded. I did watch the TV copy too to get a little better idea of what happened because there were a lot of interruptions for us during the game. But anyway,
crazy amount.
You know, that's my perception of the front. I thought. The front 7 did a solid job. We certainly controlled the line of scrimmage. I was impressed with our safety play, too. Mm-hmm. You know, I wasn't surprised at all. Early on, you might recall, Gervais had a big play, broke up a ball that would have been a key first down, forced him into a punting situation. Monty Hooker, nice interception. I think maybe he had more to do with that safety than anyone else on our team. Here's a little aside for Northern. I would definitely recommend something other than shotgun formation when you're on the -1 yard line. It's a long way to get back just to the line of scrimmage, and that's one time when you need to be able to handle a direct snap and try to get the ball off the goal line. It looked like it was just a matter of time before we were going to get the safety, and sure enough, that was the case. On offense, this is in no particular order, but I was impressed with our running backs. I thought they were solid. Yeah. I was surprised that Torrin didn't see the field until the second half, but he certainly appears to be highly motivated to earn more playing time. 8 carries, 84 yards, ran hard like you'd expect. The other guys certainly gave a good account, too. I thought they were all solid. Most importantly, they seemed to have pretty good ball security, and the list is there. At tight end, T.J. Hawkinson was the most consistent at tight end. I do think that a couple of our best players need to play better up ahead. That's no secret. I think Nate and Noah would both tell you those were very average games for them, and I have no doubt that they will play better up ahead. But they didn't play as well as I'm sure they planned to play. I was pleased that Peyton Mansell got his feet wet at quarterback. Here's a good sign. He ran the naked early in the game, late in the game, early for him. And it would have been typical for a new quarterback to just find the zipper out into the flat. But he looked for the over route and hit our tight end,
nice
Whiting, for a 30-yard gain. And I was proud of Whiting. He caught the ball. Whiting or Whiting? Is that how it's pronounced? Whiting. Whiting, he caught the ball, and if you didn't notice, he turned north. You know, he didn't run sideways. He turned down the field, and that's what tight ends should do. Here's an encouraging thing. I think we found a punt returner.
Yes.
I like Gronewig. He looks confident back there. That's where it all starts. Got to be able to field every last punt. And he has a little more spurt than I thought he did. He's got some potential. He reminds me a little bit of Pete Marciano. Remember Pete?
Oh, yeah.
Sure do.
Rest his soul. What a wonderful young man. And you got to be fearless back there, and Kyle appears to be that. So that's another positive.
And he's not very big.
Racinas looks solid on placements. On kickoffs, he looks solid. He did have one ball that was out of bounds, you might recall, and that was unfortunate. But it didn't cost us dearly at all. I thought the O-line, considered that we were missing a couple of our starters, I thought they controlled the line of scrimmage very well in the second half, not quite so well in the first half. We had a nice edge on time of possession. We had a 9.5-minute edge, and I promise you those defensive players will tell you that does make a difference. It gives our defensive players a chance to show up with high energy, and with a little bit of luck, they can get on and off the field, and that certainly happened on Saturday.
So, Don, can I make one guess that the receivers are not going to be on your list of positive things?
That's one of those negatives. We need more. I'll just quote you with what I wrote.
Okay.
We need more production from wide receivers. I don't think we can beat solid Big Ten opponents with a steady diet of 22 personnel. That's what we call, 2 backs and 2 tight ends. We played a lot with the flanker formation. That's the generic name for that personnel group. And that would include only one wide receiver. So we did not have much production out of those guys. And we need that. We certainly tried. I give Brian credit. He called some double cuts. He called some vertical routes, some deeper throws. I think Nate would tell you that he probably could have hung in there a little bit better with his primary a few times, primary receiver. He was a little bit unnerved, I'm sure, by being out there without his 2 starting tackles. And of course, Northern did a solid job of trying to heat him up, even though they didn't get to him from a sack standpoint except one time. Kicking game again. Block punt was a protection bust. I don't know who's responsible in terms of player protection, but that's clearly a protection bust. We had a guy that had a good route to the punter. I think our punting stats are misleading. Those rugby punts, those 2 rugby punts I know for sure included 52 yards of roll. And a lot of people would say, well, we can always punt away from that punt returner. Well, here's what you're going to see as the season plays out. You're going to see a few teams that are going to be smart enough to put a second punt returner back there, and now you're not going to be able to punt the ball away from that lone returner. The worry about those rugby punts, they don't have any hang time, of course, typically, and those are what we sometimes call returners. Those are line drive punts that come back at you quicker than you can imagine. So that's a concern still. I'd like for us to be able to just hang the ball high, a lot like we did a couple of years ago, and have good coverage. Our coverage teams are really untested at this point, of course, because our kickoffs were typically into the end zone, and they didn't have much opportunity to return punts. Too many penalties, that was another negative. A slow start, of course. You don't want to. You might not be able to get off to a slow start against a good team. You might not be able to recover. But all in all, a positive day. A routine win, that's what we were all hoping for before the game started. And the second half play, especially that play in the third quarter, eliminated any opportunity for Northern to feel like they even had a chance to win. I know earlier in the week, Kirk and I had talked about the importance of getting off to a good start, because if you let those underdogs hang around, the longer they hang around, at some point you get a fanatical effort out of their other team, because lo and behold, they actually have a chance to win the game, and a lot of them showed up not really expecting that they could do that. So we need a faster start, of course, especially this weekend against the Cyclones, and I know our players are well aware of that. Our coaches will make them aware, and with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to do it against the Cyclones.
You know, with the punting situation, and yeah, you're right, Don, a lot of that was the luck of the roll and but what a difference it makes, though. Think about that, because those punts were in the first half when the offense couldn't do anything. They were so important. They shifted field position, and he never did that last year because he never seemed to get a lucky roll last year.
And he's the number one punter in America after one game.
He did have one good one, the 69, but you bring up a good point, Don. The one punt that he did have that got good air didn't go very far. So if you're Iowa State...
Exactly right. Before the first half, I don't know if our listeners are aware of this, but right before the half, we were on the minus 11-yard line having to punt, but at least we had the wind. There was a southerly wind.
Yes.
Had it at our back. That punt was only 34 yards. They fair caught it. They were on our plus 45, and we're lucky. We're very lucky that we weren't behind at halftime. It could have easily been that case. If they'd hit the field goal, of course, if they would have scored on the drive that Amani intercepted. On that particular drive, they had first down on the plus 23-yard line when they threw the pick. And that all started with a little bit of pressure. They forced the quarterback into a flush situation. We're a little bit lucky. He underthrew the ball. Amani made a play on it from underneath the receiver. If he would have thrown the ball 3 yards further, it'd probably been a touchdown. So we're a little fortunate there that Amani was able to undercut that receiver.
You say that Raster leads the nation.
Leads the nation in punting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you said, when you get a 69-yarder off, that's right. But yeah, that is the one thing about rugby punting is so much of it depends on the role of the football. Now, Don, if you're Iowa State with Rastetter coming off this game, because, I mean, you could tell by his body language Saturday. I mean, I wrote about him. We all mentioned. If you're Iowa State, do you put 2 punt returners back there?
Well, I certainly would think seriously about it. Let me take you back in time. Tim Dwight led the Big Ten in punt returns as a freshman, and you have an idea maybe of what might have happened as that season played out. They decided, okay, we're just going to punt the ball away from Tim Dwight. Well, we put a guy back there by the name of Tony Collins.
Yep.
Tony was also a very, very capable returner. And now if they punted the ball away from Tim Dwight, they had another dangerous returner with the ball, and they had Tim Dwight leading interference for him. Believe me, that wasn't a good solution for the opposing team either. So it would not shock me if somebody puts a second returner back there. I would certainly expect it, especially if we're punting into the wind. We're more likely to try a rugby punt probably into the wind. And that would be my move, is to put a second punt returner back there and dare get a rugby punt in, because we have a great chance to field it on the fly at that point.
Donnie, what are your thoughts? We had kind of freakish weather on Saturday around the nation, and both Nebraska and Iowa State did not get a chance to play their games. Do you think that can work to our advantage in some ways, or do you think it's an advantage for Iowa State in other ways? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say overall it's an advantage for us. And there's that old adage, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. You've heard it said before, the most improvement is made between game 1 and game 2. We hope that's the case. Certainly there'll be a lot of corrections made on the Iowa end of things, and the players, of course, are conscientious, and they're going to do the best they can to correct those mistakes from game 1. Well, Iowa State didn't get to have a game 1 last weekend. Their game 1 lasted about 5 minutes, as I recall.
And they did score.
5 minutes off the clock, I should say. So I do think it's an advantage for us. We played a game, and effectively Iowa State has not. I will make a cautionary word on Iowa State, though. They are very definitely improved from last September. And I tell you how I know that. As you guys, I think, probably know, I do some analytical work for Kansas State, and I've studied the Big 12 really closely. And this will surprise you to hear it, but Iowa State was the best in the conference. I'm talking about Big 12 conference games now, those 9 games. They did a great job of eliminating big plays on the part of the other team. They gave up very few explosive and super explosive plays, 20 and 30-yard plus plays last season. They were also really good in the red zone. They also did a great job protecting the ball. You probably are aware of this stat. They lost 1 fumble on the entire season,
Yep.
and that was in the bowl game.
Yep.
So they're playing good fundamental football. I don't think they're going to show up and self-destruct like they did 2 years ago, certainly over here. They're way beyond that. So we're going to have our hands full. I am happy to know that we have a full game under our belts, and they didn't get to play one on Saturday night.
So, Don, can you see the team that doesn't have the advantage on the ground Saturday winning this game? Do you think, does Iowa have to have, or at least hold its own? Because, I mean, it's hard to see Iowa winning this game if David Montgomery goes off for 150. I mean, how important is the running game going to be this weekend?
Well, you're right. If they run the ball effectively, then we better win on turnovers because that's the only counter to them being able to run the ball and move the ball up and down the field. That is a little bit of a concern. You might say in the first half, it seemed like the best opportunities that Northern generated in the running game were basically between the tackles.
Yes.
They hit some seams up through there. They created some running lanes. And like you say, Montgomery's way above average as a back, so we have our hands full with him. I think you're right, and that's a good solid stat in the Big Ten at least all the time. If you outrush your opponent, you have a great chance to win the football game. And I think you have to say this for Iowa State. They play a lot like a Big Ten team does.
Yeah, they do.
They run the ball. They don't beat themselves. Really, Iowa and Iowa State in many ways are, at this point in time, are very much mirror images of each other. To Iowa State's credit, you could say that about them. So I think we need to beat them at the game that we would both prefer to play, and that would be to control the line of scrimmage, outrush the opponent, take time off the clock, take advantage of scoring opportunities, always give the other team a long field. It's going to be a battle of wills to see who's able to get that done the best.
I saw an incredible stat, and I've sort of kept it, but someone mentioned, I think Iowa's 29-1 over the last 30 games when they run for over 100 yards.
That's right.
When they run for over 100 yards, they're 29-1. Because when Iowa loses, like last year, the running game just gets shut down.
So now I think it's 30.
30-1, because then when they lost to North Dakota State, they couldn't run. Yeah. So isn't that amazing, Don? 30-1 in games where they run for 100 yards.
Yeah, and honestly, this weekend, if we just run for a little over 100 yards, I think we're still in trouble because it's entirely possible that Iowa State will put up more than just a little over 100 yards rushing. So I always like to look at it from a team concept, and my challenge to the defense would be, let's be sure that we outrush Iowa State. And to do that, you might need maybe the best you can do is hold them to 100 yards because they're certainly determined to run the ball. But then the pressure goes to the offense then. Okay, let's be sure we put up better rushing numbers than Iowa State. Maybe something over 100 yards would be enough, but I wouldn't count on it because Iowa State's more than capable of running the ball too.
Well, I think the Iowa defensive ends are going to be huge. If they can get pressure on Kemp consistently, I think that'll do some difference. But don't you think, Don, Iowa State's got the clear advantage at wide receiver. The Iowa defensive back's going to they're going to have to play well. Iowa State, they only played 5 minutes the other day, but didn't they score on a long pass? I mean, they're very explosive at receiver.
Yeah, it was a short throw that turned into a long touchdown. But, again, they got that kind of big play ability. Of course, they have some size at receiver, too. They have both types of receivers. They have short and explosive guys that can turn into big plays. And then, of course, they have length on the part of some receivers. Our corners really were not tested on Saturday.
No, they weren't.
Primarily because of the pass rush. But to their credit, they didn't let anything get behind them. They kept the ball in front of them. But I think it'll be a more extreme test this weekend for our corners, and I'm sure our corners will be ready for that.
And, Donnie, you mentioned a little earlier that Nate was kind of not himself Saturday. Did it seem like maybe he hurried things up a little bit or had a shorter clock in his head because his 2 tackles were out?
I think so. There were times I thought when he came off his primary a little bit early, and I say that, I don't know for sure. I don't have the benefit of watching the game tape, but I think he was a little bit on edge because of our absence of our tackles. Here's the thing I know about quarterback play. Well, let's back up a little bit. Third play of the game, of course, could have been a touchdown
Beautiful throw.
for Noah. And if that ball is thrown and completed, it was a good pass. The pass was on the money. If that play stands up, then you might have an entirely different outcome for the game. But it didn't happen that way, and I'm sure Nate would be the first to tell you I could play better than I played. We need him to play, of course, great week in and week out. I'll just give you a simple example in the Big Ten. How about the way that the Penn State quarterback finished his game? That guy stepped up again, just like he did against us, McSorley.
Yes, he did.
So we need Nate to be good when the pressure's on, and there'll be some games up ahead, of course, that'll test him severely. But I think he's going to be ready for that test. He's been well coached by Ken O'Keefe, and of course he's got game experience now off last season, and I'm sure he'll be a little more comfortable with those starting tackles back out there this week. And that's not to take away from the guys that played at all, but those other two guys were number one for a reason, and I'm sure they'll offer him a little more security in the pocket than what he had on Saturday.
Don, I wanted to ask a couple more things before we let you go. God, we've almost killed a half an hour already.
Unbelievable.
Just Kirk getting the 144 wins. I mean, first of all, do you think another Iowa football coach will ever win 140 games? I never thought, like Kirk said, he never thought Hayden's record would ever be approached. Just put in perspective for the people you've been a coach. How unusual is this, what we saw on Saturday?
Well, I think it's very unusual for two coaches to cover 40 years of football at any school, of course. I don't think it's maybe ever happened anywhere else. I know one thing. Our old staff is pleased to know that the Fry culture has been carried forward. There's no doubt about that. As Kirk put it, it's been kept in the family. Kirk has run his programs very much like Coach Fry did. Mm-hmm. It's all about family. It's all about treating young men the way they deserve to be treated, treating them with respect and decency. Always being trustworthy with following through on what you promise you'll do for the program, and having, of course, high standards of conduct. If you mess up, you're going to be penalized. Coach Fry used to famously say it back in those days. The university had a policy: 3 strikes and you're out. And Coach Fry said, no, you'll get a second chance, but you'll never get a third. And hopefully you'll never need a second chance. But sometimes a young man will make a mistake. They're young. They're still in their teenage years in so many cases. And if it's what we would think of as a simple mistake, then they deserve a second chance. If it's something more serious than that, of course, then they might not even get a second chance. But the players know that. And, of course, there's a lot of pressure they put on each other to do the right thing at all times, and that's the message that comes down from the top. Kirk gets the message through to the players. We're not going to tolerate a bunch of crazy stuff out of you guys. You represent your family, your school. Mm-hmm. You represent the entire state of Iowa. You represent Hawkeye Nation. It's very important that you do that the right way. The players understand that, and that's what they almost always do.
I know it's a small sample size, but one weekend of Big Ten football. I actually tried to watch some of the Notre Dame Michigan game.
I watched a lot of it.
Just your thoughts on the Big Ten. I thought Maryland made a great account for itself. I thought Minnesota. What'd you think, Don?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me, I've made a few notes as a Big Ten summary here. Penn State, Michigan State all looked vulnerable.
Yes.
Penn State was able to win, but they were very fortunate to do so, no doubt about it. Michigan's still struggling on offense. Their offensive line, I think, is their primary issue.
Which is weird.
They thought Shea Patterson was going to be the answer, and no, he's not a long-lost nephew of mine. I wish I could claim him, I guess, as a nephew, but we'll see. He didn't exactly light it up on Saturday night against the Fighting Irish. Michigan State struggled a little bit. Ohio State and Wisconsin, I think, look solid. Ohio State, of course, can outscore you if they have to. Maryland suddenly looks like a bigger challenge for us.
Yes, they do.
They're an interesting team. I don't think there's. Did you see the commentary by the Texas coach after the game? He looked like.
What'd he say?
He was in a state of shock, I think. But anyway, Maryland is an explosive team, and they're a dangerous team. And I hate to say, that's the one game I'm going to miss here in Kinnick. I'm going to be broadcasting the Northern Iowa South Dakota State game on television that weekend. So I'm going to have to miss that game. It's going to bug me to miss it, but I have to do that. Northwestern continues to find a way to win.
Yes,
I honestly thought Purdue would beat them playing at home. But Northwestern
turnovers.
doesn't make too many mistakes. They don't beat themselves. So those will all be challenges, of course. Minnesota looked good, but New Mexico State's not much of a test.
No.
It is interesting. These athletic departments are in a quandary in early September. The preference would be to play a night game if TV has nothing to do with it, because it's cooler at night. But so often you get these early evening thunderstorms that'll delay your kick. And of course, if you play it at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, sometimes the heat is stifling. So it's hard to find the right time to play a game.
Although in this instance, Iowa got their game in, and then the night games, a lot of them were canceled.
I was told by people it was one of the most humid days they can remember at Kinnick Stadium. Was it really? I was inside. Very humid. Very humid.
Yeah, one other comment I'll make that here's how coaches sometimes think. I couldn't help but notice in that second half, we're in the shade over on the west side, and there's Northern standing over there in the sun. And I promise you that had a little bit to do with them wilting in the second half. I think more than that, it was the effort that we were putting up against them. But I think that contributed to it a little bit. Is a warm, humid day, and that sun got a little bit old. I'm sure the listeners that sat on that east side, they can tell you that as the third and fourth quarter rolled around.
Yes, that's me.
It was beginning to get a little bit uncomfortable over there on the east side.
I will agree, although in the first half, it needs to be noted that Northern Illinois had fans and the little water machines, and Iowa did not. So whatever that means, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, our guys, of course, are in great shape. They've benefited from camp, and camp's been conducted the right way for sure. But I do think it helps a little bit to be on the shady side of the stadium, and I think that entered into it. This week, of course, with the 4:00 kick, Iowa State will be in the sun, I think, at the opening kickoff, but before very long at all, they'll be in the shade also.
Okay, before we let you go, you feel really good about Iowa's chances of winning on Saturday?
I feel if you put a gun to my head, I'd still pick Iowa. I think the Kinnick influence counts for something. Okay. I think that north end zone's louder than ever.
It sure is.
Which is good to see. But I think Iowa State is an improved football team for sure from last September when we played them. We better be ready for the game. I know that Kirk and his coaches will have the guys ready. The players certainly understand this will not be an easy outcome. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to go out and earn this one. It's going to take 60 minutes. I don't think we can afford to get off to a slow start either. We're going to do everything we can to get off to a better start, I'm sure. And it should be worth more than just the price of admission. I think it's going to be a great game.
I agree. Well, Don, listen, we appreciate
you
coming on. Good way to kick off the season. And, again, congratulations on this past weekend. It was great watching all you guys interact. It was great watching Bill Brazier there. Bill seemed to really enjoy himself. And I asked Bobby Stoops that we had a little bit of chance to talk to Bob, and he just said Bob Cummings, Hayden Fry, and Bill Brazier, influenced his life probably as much or more than anybody. It was just neat watching all you guys get the credit you deserve.
Well, thank you. You're very kind, Pat, to say that. And I do hope the listeners understand. Maybe there's still some question in some people's minds about where Bobby Stoops went. Hopefully everybody understands. At the really midweek or so, Bobby got the message from the OU staff that his son was going to play on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And Bobby said, Coach, I want to be in Kinnick so much, but I want to be loyal to my son, too. I want to get back and watch him play his first college game.
He did
we
it
all
right.
understood that. I hope the listeners understood
I
it,
think
because
they do.
Otherwise, I can promise you Bobby Stoops would have been out there on the field with us. His playing days at Iowa mean the world to him.
Yep.
And I think some of you probably know this already. He says even now on Saturday mornings when Carol gets up, the first thing out of her mouth is "Go Hawks." Even though they're at Norman, Oklahoma, it's still "Go Hawks." And I think the kids don't fully understand that. But if you grew up in Cresco, Iowa, as Carol did, maybe that makes more sense.
It does make sense, Don. Well, again, thanks a lot. We look forward to doing this again on next Monday, and hopefully we're talking about a Hawkeye victory.
I look forward to it as well, guys.
All right, go Hawks. Go Hawks. Well, that was good.
We taking a break?
You want to?
Well, there's no money because there's Labor Day.
No money.
There's no money on Labor Day. What the hell?
No money off Labor Day either.
That's true. So should we take a break?
Take a little break.
Take a break, make a note, never get these Post-its again.
Why?
Because the minute they get wet, your whole counter is dyed pink. I've never seen anything like it.
But these are real Post-its, aren't they?
Yeah. But the whole counter is dyed pink.
Wow.
I had to take comment to her.
Wow.
So,
we wondered what you were doing.
Yeah, there you go.
We're as close as your smart device. Just ask Alexa to play KCJJ on TuneIn. Our video and audio streams are powered by Lucky's Market at the Iowa City Marketplace.
1-800-800-ROSE. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist is the only number you need to know to send flowers anywhere in the country or Canada from anywhere in the country. 1-800-800-ROSE. It's so easy. Just remember one number. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist. 1-800-800-ROSE. Remember, over the years, car keys have gotten extremely complex. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars can generate the most technically advanced automotive keys on the market today. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars can produce most conventional transponder, sidewinder, and remote-headed keys. If you've lost the keys to your car or simply need a duplicate, call 330-9185. Mike's Lock and E-Keys for Cars has the technology to keep you on the road. Call 330-9185 and schedule an appointment today.
Dad, we want movies.
Hello, I'd like to switch to DirecTV. I want over 150 channels with HD DVR service and equipment fee included for one receiver.
DirecTV. Package offers start at incredibly low monthly prices. Call now.
Big Dog TV and Internet, 395-0800, or stop by and see us on Blair's Ferry Road in Cedar Rapids. Ends 8/31/18, 24-month agreement required, $35 activation, early termination fee of $20 per month for each remaining month on agreement. Equipment non-return and additional fees apply. New approved customers only. Equipment lease required. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
GT Carr, owner of Supple Siding and Remodeling, offers service and quality that is unmatched in the area. At Supple Siding and Remodeling, their trained professionals will install and guarantee the products used in any size job done, regardless of the project. Supple Siding and Remodeling will stand behind their quality products and installation with exceptional customer service. Whether it's a window replacement, a kitchen remodel, or a house addition, our employees are committed to quality. Visit sales at supples.net or call 337-2246.
Saloon, located in the heart of the Ped Mall in downtown Iowa City, wants you to get your Southwest on. Fabulous Mexican dishes that will tickle your taste buds like nowhere else. Lunch and dinner daily, Saturday and Sunday brunches from 10 to 2, and catering for all events. Owner Jason Deppie is a West High and U of I grad, inviting you to enjoy his restaurant, combining classic Southern U.S. and Central American flavors. When it's time to get your Southwest on, look no further than Saloon, 112 East College Street in Iowa City. Call 354-3837 for catering, delivery, and information, or visit them virtually at saloonsouthwest.com.
If you are looking for creative, eye-popping graphics, look no further than Zephyr Sign and Graphics. Zephyr specializes in vehicle graphics, posters, indoor and outdoor banners, stretched canvas signs, vinyl, plastic, or frame metal yard signs. Call Zephyr Signs and Graphics at 351-3500. That's 351-3500. And ask for the large format department. For incredibly creative and effective signs and graphics, stop by Zephyr Signs and Graphics in the heart of downtown Iowa City's Ped Mall at 125 South Dubuque Street. Car won't steer? Call Premier. Premier Automotive in North Liberty offers full-service mechanical auto repair work in addition to being Eastern Iowa's most trusted name in auto body repair. Use Premier for all your auto repair needs. Brakes, oil changes, air conditioning, diagnostics, transmissions, or preventive maintenance. Whether you hit a deer or your car won't steer, see Premier Automotive in North Liberty.
Dear U of I, just a note to let you know if you're ever thinking about selling Kinnick Stadium or Carver Hawkeye Arena, please consider Hawkeye Title and Settlement. We're here to provide efficient, high-quality real estate title and closing services. Signed, Hawkeye Fan Forever, and send. Hi, this is Steve Anderson with Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Whether it's a large commercial property or if you're buying your first home, remember, we're here to help. Hawkeye Title and Settlement Services of Iowa City. You'll love our team just like you love the Hawks.
In the electrical field, we know time is in high demand and often short supply. At Sittler's LED Supplies, we value our relationships with local contractors and electricians to evaluate jobs, create layouts, recommend and supply our in-stock products, and file incentive paperwork for your customers. How much time and money can Sittler's LED Supplies save your business? Call 1-800-426-3938 to talk to one of our lighting experts, or stop in, meet the team, and tour our facility at 111 Westview Drive in Washington.
Every time we go there, it just feels great. Like happy and excited.
Reboot Family Night at the Oxy Oak Inn.
Talking to each other about the day and everything. My mom, my dad, and my sister.
The food makes everybody happy.
I like potato pancakes, chicken schnitzel, roast beef with mashed potatoes and gravy.
Kind of reminds me of something from my childhood. Then they bring a tray of desserts.
Pie and stuff like that. I like chocolate. She likes Death by Chocolate. It's cake that just has a lot of layers of chocolate frosting.
It's really magical. And then we pass the forks around.
Families in everything they do at the Oxy Oak Inn.
It feels like I've been with my family.
It just makes everyone happy and have new family memories. We all like it.
Just 20 minutes from Cedar Rapids and Coralville's Coral Ridge Mall.
Oxy Oak Inn.
The Corridor wakes up on 1630 KCJJ.
AllHawkeyes.com.
Every once in a while, I will a tear during those Oxy Oak Inn commercials.
Yeah, you tear up?
Yeah, it just makes me think of like 8 is enough or something, just family.
It makes me think of fried chicken.
Yeah,
fried chicken and pie.
And Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And side dishes of vegetables. Another thing.
Yeah, that's what I think about.
When I think about,
the potatoes and gravy.
The
cottage cheese with the chives on it.
I love.
I don't like chives.
You don't like vegetables either, do you?
Not particularly.
Why don't you like chives?
Because I don't like chives.
You don't like
why?
And you don't like chocolate?
Why don't you? Yeah. What is your
freak.
deal? I had some chocolate yesterday.
What's wrong with chives? You told me you don't like sweets.
I don't particularly.
He doesn't like vegetables.
He
doesn't
like
like
the Bee Gees either.
No.
Talking.
What do you
No.
eat? Just meat?
Meat, cheese, potatoes, bread. No, I eat vegetables.
Chive
pasta.
talking.
See, it was chive talking. Yeah, I see. Did you get it?
No. You like your carbohydrates is what you
I like carbs. Chive talking.
No,
No, I don't like chives.
Hello.
Morning, guys.
Hey.
Good morning.
Hey, I just basically over the weekend with, what Don and you guys were talking about is you just can't take a win for granted regardless of who you're playing. I mean, I guarantee you Michigan State and Penn State, Tom, you were chewing your fingernails. I guarantee there were a lot of those guys that have no fingernails left after those games. So
it's kind of like 2009 Iowa. It's kind of like Iowa surviving Northern Iowa in 2009.
Yeah.
If you look at the experts, the spread was anywhere between 10 and 8 points. Iowa exceeded that. So if you just on paper, they did well. A couple things. What do you guys think? Do you think they tried to do as little as possible to put on tape for the next game?
No.
Obviously Iowa State, or do you think they just ran their normal game plan?
I think they ran a normal game plan. Anytime they struggle on offense in the opener before Iowa State, that's some people stick, we're saving all of our stuff for Iowa State. Then they go and play against Iowa State, and sometimes they're more conservative than they were the previous week. So, no, I don't buy into that. I just think it took some time.
And I do think there were a lot of drops.
They didn't execute.
They didn't execute, and those really influenced the flow of an offense.
I mean, of course, Fant had the big drop that would have been a touchdown, probably the best ball Stanley's ever thrown. I mean,
it was beautiful.
But there was Brandon Smith had a huge drop on third down. The ball he let the ball get into his chest. The defensive back got his hand in there, and the ball was right there. He had to catch that. Those were 2 drives that were stalled by drops, and that would have made a big difference. So, no, I think it's just going to come down to execution. And, I mean, caller, I'm worried about the difference at receiver. We talk about the running game because I think that's going to be huge, but Iowa State's receivers, just in the 5 minutes they played, looked better than Iowa's. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I thought our receivers looked terrible. Except for our tight ends.
I thought Smith Marset looked better. I mean, he caught the ball.
He had 3 catches for 28 yards. He did catch the ball, but they didn't stretch him at all.
And that can't be your number one wide receiver, 3 catches for 28 yards. If it is, you've got a way underproducing unit.
Yes.
I think what they have to do, and a couple different things, you have to get those D-backs and the safeties back. So whether that's a pump and go, because a lot of those, they were jumping those short routes, and a couple times I thought the D-back was going to jump it and go the other way. Stanley if he overthrew those guys a couple times on those out routes, they would have taken it to distance. So that's what concerned me.
I hate those out routes that they're don't gain much, and they're real long throws, and they're dangerous throws. Yeah, I hate those.
It's Greg Davis.
So why do we keep doing them?
Because he's got a strong arm, and I think a lot of teams can't do that. So I guess maybe the thinking is that defenses aren't used to it, and I think it's easier catches for the wide receivers. I mean, I don't know. That's the only theory They're not having to catch the ball in traffic and what have you. I don't know. But Brandon Smith, and I don't want to single him out, but he's got to catch that ball on that slant. I mean, it was a ball perfectly thrown at this level. You have to catch that ball.
I think there's the glaring weakness there always is at wide receiver for Iowa, and that's speed. That's the ability to separate
other than Smith Marset.
The D-back.
Yes, no, you are right. He's the only receiver on that team that you would say is fast by Big Ten standards.
So they're gonna continue to do those sort of things. I think that we always hope that the tight ends offset some of those, and I think Hawkinson was really good.
I did too.
He was. Now there is one portion of the offense we didn't see much, hardly at all, and I don't know how much it's going to be featured, but is Nate Stanley throwing to the guys out of the backfield. We did not see much of that. I think there was one to Mekhi Sargent, and that might be about it.
Yeah, no, there was not a lot of that. So it'll be interesting to see if they do use that a lot, because we know that Ivory Kelly-Martin can catch the ball.
Yes.
We've seen it. Enough people have said it. I'm not sure if that's Torrin Young's strength. I'm not sure, but I like the way they did it. Torrin Young did play one play in the first half. They put him in as like a blocker, and because it was strange. And Kirk said no. I thought maybe their thinking was with Torrin Young too. Give him a chance. The offense is sputtering. It's really freaking humid out here. Let's start throwing a 225-pound body at him. But Kirk said that wasn't necessarily in their thoughts.
Yeah, I thought Stanley, hopefully will take some good improvement from week 1 to week 2. I didn't think he looked very good. I think he was looking over his shoulder a lot. And that one time they did strip him. They did. I think Sutton Smith did strip him.
He did, yes.
Maybe that got him a little nervous, but overall it was a win's a win. I can't fault them too much. Let's judge them next week, and I'll be down there, so I'll see it live. So it'll be. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. It's
go
gonna,
Hawks and.
Yep.
No, have a safe trip down here, and
good call.
Yeah, give us a call on Monday. Give us your thoughts after we have Don on. No,
yeah,
this is one of the games Iowa State. I'll be honest. Some years I just don't look forward to it because I know the game's never going to match the incredible hype. This year, I think the game has a chance to be really good.
The people were really cruel on Twitter to Nebraska.
I tweeted something. In fun, I just said I thought Scott Frost would beat Mother Nature.
Well, people were putting, hey, where's Frost? I thought he was better than Jesus.
Well, I did.
He couldn't even walk on the field.
I contributed to that immaturity and snarkiness. I didn't mention God. I just said I don't affiliate Mother Nature with God. I just can't believe Scott Frost lost to Mother Nature, because I guarantee you, if you asked Nebraska fans heading into that game, who wins in a duel between Mother Nature and Scott Frost, who would they pick?
Well, I think they'd still pick Scott Frost.
Without question. They're going to say that Scott wanted to give Mother... He heard that Mother Nature's had some confidence issues because she's struggling. They got the drought out in California. And
the climate change got her very upset.
Trump's not believing Mother Nature, so Scott Frost wanted to help Mother Nature out, and he surrendered.
There was just a long line of snark on Twitter.
Imagine.
And Facebook.
You should have seen halftime of the Iowa game. I mean, I just got the people were, this is ridiculous. This offense sucks. Play calling. It was just.
There were a couple firearms.
But you can't judge a game in one half because there's just too many things can happen.
If Stanley's pass to Fant is caught and that turns into a 60-70, Stanley's stats are completely different for the game.
Absolutely.
He will have had, it changes everything. Noah Fant had a bad series there. He had the penalty. He had the drop. And it sort of didn't surprise me because I can't remember a time when expectations have been so high for an Iowa football player heading into a season. When's a preseason first team consensus All-American? That's just not how it happens at Iowa.
And I saw him say, he said, even though I was a junior, he said, I'm a junior, I was real nervous before this game for some reason.
I think it's the expectations.
Yeah,
I think he
could
knows,
very well be.
Hey, I'm supposed to be going to the NFL after this year because that's kind of what everyone's saying, and that's a lot of pressure for a kid.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hey, hello.
I got a couple things about the game. One that hasn't been talked about. I thought Groneweg, that's how you pronounce his name, looked really good as a punt returner.
Yeah, Don Patterson mentioned him.
Something out of nothing.
Yeah, Don Patterson singled him out, saying he thought he was quicker than he thought he was, and I'll give you that. I thought he was quicker. I mean, lots of times these Iowa punt returners, they catch the ball and just get it. Okay, good, I got the ball. Let's don't turn it over. Groneweg, when he got that ball, he looked to do something. I thought that was big. You're right, caller.
What about maybe trying him at wide receiver?
He played. No, he
did play.
He got in. He was the third and fourth receiver, number 14. The only balls caught by a wide receiver were 3 by Amir Smith-Marset. He was the only wide receiver. They just did not get anything going. And I looked lots of times. They weren't always open. They were open some, but there's just not a lot of separation.
Didn't you think it was odd that Easley didn't make any catches?
Well, yeah, I thought it was odd that Brandon Smith didn't make. I mean,
he didn't last year.
I know, but he's playing all the time.
Yeah,
now. He didn't play it all last year. He's played the whole game and didn't make any catches. Yes, and I'm thinking Easley's maybe on scouting reports a little after last year.
That could very well be.
They sat there and watched film of him catching 50 balls last year. Nick Easley's not going to sneak up on anybody anymore.
That's true.
Coach Patterson didn't really have a reason for this either. Why didn't they use Torrin Young in the first half other than the one play?
I don't know. It was weird. It's weird, but it's hard to question it now because the rotation looks like it worked out perfectly. But the only way I can explain it is Kelly Martin and Kai Sargent must have been a lot better and more consistent in practice because that's how Kirk. That's the only thing they had to base it on going into this game. And I didn't think Kelly Martin was horrible in the first half. I thought he did okay, but no, it was weird. Now the advantage is Torrin Young had fresh legs, but I think sometimes we make too much of a factor out of the fatigue. Those games are stopped, and there's so much standing around. Saturday was excruciating.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
It was excruciating, the number of standing around. But, caller, I don't know exactly the answer, and I'm sure we can ask Kirk that tomorrow. But if there is something more, we're not going to hear it from Kirk. No. But I haven't heard anything about it being disciplined or anything other than depth chart. And I'll tell you, he ran angry. He ran like a kid who was pissed off.
Yes, he did.
And I think that helped.
And maybe he hasn't been doing that in
maybe
practice.
They had to motivate him. Maybe he got – we're just speculating. We don't know. But I like the way it worked out, and they do have 3 running backs, and I'm impressed with all 3. I like Kai Sargent. I think all 3 can help him.
Yes. One other thing, and I like our quarterback. I like Stanley. I think that he might be one of these guys that's kind of a statue when he drops back to the pass.
Yeah, he's
definitely.
He's definitely a statue.
Have nifty feet and escapability. I don't know if that's true or not, but when they brought in Peyton Manziel, he
can move.
He looked good right from the get-go.
No, he can move. Stanley's Ben Roethlisberger, but obviously he's not Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have great mobility, but he's learned. And look at
he's got a better pocket presence.
And look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not mobile, but Tom Brady's got great feet in the pocket.
Yeah.
Stanley's got to learn that. That's definitely something. But I do like Peyton Manziel. He can move. If you blitz Peyton Manziel and he doesn't have anyone open, he can burn you.
And he did look good in his short time in there, but he was playing against an exhausted defense who'd been on the field a lot.
And there was no pressure other than on him to perform. Right. The game was settled. The fans weren't expecting anything. They weren't hanging on their heels trying to get all excited about what's going on with the game because the outcome was not in doubt. I mean, it was over.
That little bootleg pass down the middle was a beauty.
I thought it was nice, and I just liked the quickness he showed. I mean, he moves easy back there.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey. Good morning. Is this Terry?
Doing?
Yeah.
It's Terry. Hey, Terry, what's up?
Hey, quick question. Have you ever seen a team give the same number to their quarterback and their defensive end?
Sutton Smith and
Sutton
Childers.
Sutton Smith came in as a running back, so maybe that had something to do with it.
But the quarterback had 15, and so did the defensive end.
Well, I'm saying he came in as a running back, so maybe that had something to do with it, and he just stuck with his number. I don't know. I mean, I've seen stuff
That's not unusual.
I mean, LSU's best D-back was the same number as their starting running back last night.
And then
really?
Yeah.
And who we have a number 4 that plays a lot of
Josh Turner.
Cornerback Josh Turner.
Oh, yeah, it happens when you
Stanley.
no, there's a lot of duplication.
Yeah.
That's all right. Hey, I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet or not, but, going into the season, the punting game was a huge question.
Yeah, for one game it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Although
right.
Donnie P wasn't very impressed.
No, he wasn't.
Don Patterson wasn't very impressed, and he brought up some good points because I did a column today mentioning 5 unlikely players who contributed huge to that game. You had Hawkeye, you had Rastetter, you had Torrin Young, because you didn't know what he was going to do his third. And then, based on what A.J. Epinesa said, Tristan Wirfs and Alaric Jackson were huge in practice last week because they ran both tackle positions on the scout team. And like A.J. said, we played against the best tackles all week during practice. We were ready for Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but after that first punt, did the Hawkeyes ever punt out of what I call a straight-up punt formation?
I don't believe so.
Don't think so.
I don't think so. I think they did that rugby.
And I don't like it. I'm with Don. I don't like it, and I do worry that they're going to start putting 2 punt returners back there because, like we said, when you're a rugby punter, so much of it relies on the roll of the football, and Rastetter got lucky on Saturday. That ball could bounce the other way this Saturday, and what could be a 53-yard punt turns into an 18-yard punt.
That's
you just
right.
don't know.
Right. Have they released a point spread yet for Saturday's game?
Yes. 4, isn't it? 3.5, 4
4.
Iowa, which is basically you get 3 for hosting. They're basically saying this is a draw.
Yeah.
Right. All right, fellas.
All right, Terry.
Good work and enjoy your day, man.
Thanks,
Terry.
Happy
Thanks,
Labor
Terry.
Day. Happy Labor Day to all. But
Yes.
of course, we're working.
We are laboring.
So Hunter's right. I don't get paid today because this is part of.
No, we can't pay you because it's Labor Day.
Okay. All right. So I'm basically just doing. Well, he said that I have to pay you for coming in so you can help fix the potholes. Is that true?
That'd be great. Thank you.
Hello. I got some insights on the game.
Let's hear it.
I wasn't worried at halftime like a lot of people. So, you know what? One thing I've noticed, if I was ahead at the end of the game, that's when they usually win. Especially in those last, if you're ahead with like 3 seconds to go or so, that's when, you pretty well know who's going to win.
Well, except for Penn State last year.
Thing, a lot of people haven't, well, not always. A lot of people have a different analysis. Don Patterson, he's good. He's got some pretty good insights there. But one thing I'll say that he didn't mention, I'm a little bit worried about our punting game. And,
FD.
And also, I've watched a lot of football, and another thing that's been our Achilles heel is getting our somebody running a fake punt on us. You've ever seen that in the game? When they fake a punt, it's like they pretend they're going to punt and then they don't.
That's what they call that, a fake punt?
Oh, kind of like a fake Dirk.
I see what you did there, Suter.
Thank you.
But, no, seriously, our punting game, I wish somebody would expound on it.
No, that was a happy fake Dirk call.
That
Look at
was.
You. Didn't go over the line.
No.
Was mean. I mean, at the heart of it, it was harsh, right?
Yeah, a little harsh.
But it was harsh in a way that Captain can tolerate. Is that what it is?
Yes.
As he's over there just giggling.
So, Pat, what did you think at halftime?
I thought they were going to win. I thought. Well, what I ended up writing, my lead was shame on anybody who thought this was going to be easy from start to finish. That's just. Is anything easy under Kirk Ferentz? Hardly ever. Nothing ever comes easy.
Almost never.
I thought for sure they were getting a lot of pressure on that quarterback. That team could not do anything on the perimeter. They had a couple I think the reason they had a couple of those nice runs early is Amani Jones was out of position.
Exactly.
And they took him out. I mean, if he doesn't make the tackle, you're 10 yards
And that
downfield.
just reminded me so much of David Johnson a few years ago, running free right through the middle.
It was very predictable. They ended up – I had them only winning 23-17 because I thought Northern Illinois would be a little better on offense. I was not impressed with their quarterback. I didn't think he
Not
was that good.
particularly.
I just was not that impressed.
Well, he's been a good runner, and he didn't really show hardly
Then
any of
you
that.
got to give Iowa credit for that. I thought Iowa's linebackers. I thought Welch. I thought he played pretty good in
Yeah.
space. He made some good plays. It went. Of course, I didn't think it was going to be as wide a margin, but it kind of went on script. I didn't think Stanley was going to be lights out, and I like Nate Stanley, don't get me wrong, but I'm not one of these people that think Nate Stanley is just a star, and some people are just expecting just perfection, and he's going to be gone to the NFL. I'm not there at all yet. I think the jury is still very much out on Nate
Saturday
Stanley.
shows the jury
Well,
is
last
very
year,
much
there
out.
are 5 losses. Do we have a caller?
That's right.
Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm concerned that everybody's looking at offense, defense, which people do, but I mean, we've been consistently poor on specialty teams for a couple, 3 years.
True. No, I'll give you that. But, Jeff, one major phase of specialty teams, they were great on it. Whether he got the role or not, punting was great on Saturday, and kicking was fine.
And kicking was
They
great.
did have the block punt.
And the punt return was
And they didn't have any kick returns. So,
No.
I mean, what's your biggest concern about special teams based on what you saw Saturday?
Well, first off, we had a block
No,
punt
that is
right
that
off
is
the
bad.
get-go.
That is bad. Hopefully that's just
Second,
something.
We had a kick off out of bounds.
That's uncharacteristic.
No, you're
though.
right, but no, I'll give Jeff credit. Jeff, you watched that game, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what about the moving of the tee by Miguel, that penalty? I've never heard of that.
That was bizarre.
I've never heard of that either.
That was
but,
weird.
You know, but what I'm saying is that there must be somebody on coaching staff that is either not prioritizing this or
Oh
we're
no,
not
it's
getting
LeVar
in.
Woods is the full-time special teams coach. It's a priority, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Jeff, but I don't want to make too big of a. I didn't think the special teams were as bad as you're making it out to be, but you brought up 3 decent points. I mean, I'd still say by far my biggest concern from Saturday's game was the lack of productivity at wide receiver. That to me is
by far
bigger than anything. But you
Honestly,
did bring.
that was more Stanley's fault than I
Oh,
believe
no,
the
it wa-
receivers.
no,
Because
no.
Every pass he threw to Easley wasn't even close.
Brandon Smith dropped one right in his hands. That was big, and the receivers
Right.
just weren't getting open. I was watching. They were.
You cannot throw a better pass than Stanley threw to Noah Fant.
But he's a tight end, so that's.
Yeah.
But if you notice, they used Noah Fant more as a wide receiver. Noah Fant was hardly ever lined up at the line of scrimmage. He was out. He is basically another wide receiver, and he'll normally catch that ball. But no, I'm not saying special teams is not a concern. But for once they had.
I mean, because it could have went the other way if we were playing a better caliber of a team. That could have made. I mean, because granted, those guys aren't nothing, but you know, if they could have capitalized on some of those opportunities, and a better team would have.
Especially the fake punt. Yes, the fake punt's a concern, but I still think they can correct that from film. Hey, this is what you did. But no, you're right. If they do that against Wisconsin, that's 7 points.
Absolutely.
You do that against Iowa State this weekend, you give up a punt deep in your territory, that's probably 7 points. You're right, Jeff.
And what I'm looking at is it's been a consistent issue. That's my concern.
No.
You know, it'd be one thing if we, you know, had a really good special teams and then it fell off the next year, but it's been consistently poor.
No, I will say, I will defend him a little bit. Racinos has been a pretty good kicker. Desmond
Yes,
King,
he has.
Desmond King was one of the best kick and punt returners in the NFL, in the Big Ten for 3 years. There's good and bad. But no, I'm not saying special teams are a strength by any means, but I don't know if they're quite the weakness you're making it out to be. Tom,
But punters is still very much
punter's
a
an
concern.
issue. Yes, punters are concerned. Because,
But I am not concerned about Miguel Racino.
Oh, I'm not either. And I'm not concerned about Gronewig right now. And we'll see about the kick returns. It's to the point now where most kickers kick it into the end zone anyway, to where it's almost like kick returns aren't that big of a deal anymore. So, but no, Jeff, I'd say.
And I agree with that. And I agree, you know, with what you're saying, Tom. But like the punter, I mean, that's the key piece right there. You know?
Without question.
Absolutely.
And the ball rolled
And
luckily
how
for
we
him.
cannot go out and find a consistent punter.
Well, they got a
I don't
scholarship kid.
understand.
They got a kid on scholarship from Wisconsin who apparently did not do well enough in preseason practice to beat out Colton Rastetter, because if he did, they'd be playing him. And so I don't know. They've got a full scholarship.
And Northern Illinois' punter was lights freaking out.
And his last name was Ferentz.
I know. Wasn't that funny?
Ference. He was really good.
He was.
He was good. He shifted. He kept them in that game.
Right.
It was kind of a punting duel because you have to give Rastetter credit on that 69-yard. That was a good punt. That
Yes, it
a
was.
huge, important punt because, man, the offense was doing nothing then. But we'll see. I mean, what'd you think of the punt returner, Jeff Gronewig? I thought he was better than I anticipated.
Yeah, and again, these are he has that ability to look down the field and change his mind while he's running.
Yeah, he returned 5 punts for 42 yards. It's just under a 9-yard average.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Right. And he brings some flair. And what I will say I was glad to see was no fumbles.
Yes.
And I agree that we had some concerns on the wide receivers.
Drops.
Yeah. And we had a lot of drops. But not all of them were the receiver's fault.
No.
Again, Stanley seems like on that short pass, he's putting too much touch on it, and it's falling short.
Well, yeah, and we had Chuck Long on a couple of weeks ago, and he said when he watched the practice with the Big Ten Network, that's still a concern. Stanley still, I don't know if he just doesn't trust himself, but he just still throws the ball too hard on some of these close routes. And when your receivers are learning how to play at this level, that could be a concern.
But I will say, the kid that came in late, that guy has a bullet.
Yeah, he threw that ball nice on the run. Yeah, he did.
I mean, I'm hopeful for him, but he seems a little small, but
well, that's because Stanley's so big. I mean, he is. I think
that is true.
Manziel's about 6'1", probably 205, but he's not real big. But Stanley's 6'5", 250. He's huge. Stanley looks like a defensive end.
He really does.
I mean, he's a big kid. He really is big.
I never realized he was that big.
Oh, he's huge. I mean, he is a big kid. I mean, he really is. So, but no, Jeff, Jeff bringing it today, Captain.
Yeah.
No nonsense today.
I brought it, Steve.
Yeah. He's not listening. He's
Good work, Jeff.
Yeah, Cement Boy.
He's a big Hall of Famer now, so
He's
he
Sexton.
doesn't care about us little people.
No, I know.
Jeff, that was last year. That was a Facebook memory.
I know. But
still,
brought it up
the Hall of Fame
because
lasts
you
forever.
posted- That's right.
Yeah.
It isn't like you're not Hall of Famer now.
Have you listened to me the last year?
Well, you listened to me the first 52.
I'm not listening to you now. Bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Hey, so Tyler Wiggers had a great game for Eastern Michigan.
Was he like 18 of 21?
18 of 21.
I couldn't be happier. I never really got to know the kid, but, man, I never heard anyone say a bad word. And the fact that he stayed through the bowl game in case someone was to get hurt, that just said a lot about him. I mean, he could have easily left and go to Eastern to get a head start, but he stuck with that team through that bowl game. Because what if Stanley would have gone down? He would have been the QB.
Yeah, I could not have been happier
Me
to
too.
see that.
Me too.
Hi.
You're on the auction. I just like saying that.
Hey, just wondering about your thoughts on the tight end play. Obviously, it was a overall bright spot. Do you see them playing the 3 tight end set more
Yes.
in the coming weeks, or
Yes.
do you see them kind of leaning into the tight end position a little bit more in the coming weeks?
I think they'll play 3 tight ends a lot. They did a lot. Nate Whiting.
He caught
2, but he's also good at like doing playing that fullback off center a little bit. No, I think they will. Now Sean Byer and Drew Cook both got in later, didn't factor in much, but no, tight end. To me, T.J. Hawkins, no offense, by far their most explosive. T.J. Hawkins
is their most reliable.
Most reliable and best all-around tight end because I watched him block. He had some great blocks, and he can catch, too. Noah Fant is an athletic playmaking tight end who can do a good job, okay job with blocking. But no, tight ends are going to be huge, but you better get something from the wide receivers at some point because defenses can take tight ends out of the game. Look what Wisconsin did last year.
Absolutely.
If you get nothing from your wide receivers, good defenses like Wisconsin, Noah Fant couldn't get open at all against Wisconsin last year. They knew exactly where he was going. But no, I'm with you. I think the tight ends are obviously going to be huge.
Do you see them putting 4 tight ends on the field ever?
Yes. Yeah, especially it depends on matchups. But, yeah, I really could see them doing that. I could see them doing that where they have 2 of them on the line of scrimmage. And Fant is basically, like I said, he lined up more as a receiver on Saturday than he did as a tight end.
He really did.
So, yeah, I think you could have that with Fant basically playing a wide receiver.
All right. Hey, thanks for taking the call.
Yep, you bet.
But you got to have that speed to get, you
And-
got to have that downfield
And everyone's
threat.
saying, well, they do. They have one player I would classify as fast at wide
Smith
receiver.
Marcel.
Yeah. Gronewig, and Brandon Smith, and Nick Easley. are not fast by Big Ten standards. They're just not. It's, Amir Smith-Marset
More possession guys.
They're possession guys.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Yeah. Hey, what I was really intrigued by Saturday was, all the offensive line guys were from Iowa.
That is pretty cool.
And defensive line.
Yeah, and that Van Wert guy, he was like a 2-star.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, when they recruited him, it's like, oh my goodness sakes! I said, what are they doing? But he stood his ground. He did good, that's the only thing I had to say about the Iowa offense. Their linemen, they sure look good.
Yeah, no,
I thought the offensive line played a very solid game.
I thought they held their own, and
yep.
Cole Banward and Ross Reynolds was a 2-star. Neither one of those guys had many offers. Keegan Render had more stars, but he wasn't knocking down the door of a lot of colleges with offers. So I don't worry as much about offensive lineman recruits when they get them. Oh, they got a 2-star from Iowa. We've seen so many of those guys become more than serviceable. So I worry more about wide receiver. Like I said, to me, do you find it odd that Tyrone Tracy, or maybe I'm just getting caught up in all the hype that other people wrote about? I never did, and Kirk never said it, but the fact that he was the Indiana Player of the Year, and it doesn't look like he's close to being in the...
He must not have shown anything.
And then Devontae Young's in his 3rd year in the program. He was an explosive kid out of Millen. Where's he?
He didn't play hardly,
I know.
did he?
And it's not like they're not playing guys.
Did he get in?
No.
Hello.
Hey, guys, question, and I'll hang up. I live on the north side of town. I used to always be able to hear a lot of the kickoffs and the keys rattling and all that, and now I really can't. I don't know if it just wasn't louder or is the north end zone completely focused all that sound down into the stadium.
It's got to be the north end zone, because I had people tell me you were there. It was loud.
It was loud, and the game really wasn't in question very often.
That's interesting, though.
But no, that is interesting. But no, I think it's going to be deafening this weekend.
Inside.
But
no, that caller may be onto. Obviously there is a.
Well, it changed the
the acoustics without
I
question.
could tell where we were sitting.
Yeah,
that it changed the acoustics.
But it sure looks cool, doesn't it?
Okay, to go to music for a second. Will that help when a band comes here?
Yes.
The north end zone.
I would think so.
Yes.
Okay, that's what
I would think.
It kind of keeps everything in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, though. He lives on the north side, and he said he could barely hear it. I think that's going to be. And
I think what's important now is that the people that have houses there
need to move to the north side.
They need to get a little closer to the stadium to hear it better.
And that will give the Kinnick house more room to expand. He can just start buying the home.
Do you know we went and have you driven to the Kinnick house?
I drove and got down on my knees and.
We did last night.
Yeah,
we went took Lily for a ride. It looks fine. It's not. I'm.
Can I ask
you can't see it. Unless you have those houses directly around it.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't see it. We went a half a block away.
Then what's the complaint?
Yeah,
because your buddy Dirk's the one leading the complaint.
I don't want to fight with Dirk.
Did you laugh and giggle and think of Dirk when you drove by the house?
We just said you can't see it. We couldn't see it until we got...
That isn't the concern.
The concern is traffic.
Parking.
Parking and traffic.
Yes.
And, party at 2 in the morning. But it's not like...
but if that's the concern...
This isn't Keith Moon.
Why are there tents all over the place and people partying there?
Well, and plus, though, the people... It's not like Keith Moon bought that house, is it? I mean, this is going to be just a big party!
No, of course not. And maybe on game days...
Keith Moon and John Bottom
bought the house, and they're going to drum all night and, inject... amphetamines all night.
I mean, it just there's tents up where people were partying.
But the worry is, though, they're going to turn this into a big party pad, right?
Well, there's a lot of houses that are like that.
Party pad. I like that. The party pad.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't live in the neighborhood, so, but I know you can't see it.
Oh, they wouldn't let you in that neighborhood, would they? Would they let him in that neighborhood over there?
I don't know.
I don't know if they would.
Restricted?
They'd say, hey, keep your nonsense
We don't
out.
want any Jews in this neighborhood.
Yeah. Hey, the stadium's enough.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, did Iowa State, does that count as a victory for them?
No.
Wasn't that game postponed? Or?
No,
nothing.
It wasn't postponed. It was canceled.
Canceled after 5 minutes.
Oh, had they already scored?
Yeah, they are up. Yeah, a wide receiver did what we're sitting here wondering about Iowa. Their one series, their wide receiver took a short pass, and how far was it?
Like, can't remember.
Like 50, 60 yards?
63
yeah, it
or
just
something.
exploded for a big play.
Yeah.
But no, they only played 5 minutes, and I know like a lot of people have been joking. Halas wrote something about it would be neat to see Iowa State and Nebraska play on December 1st, but that ain't going to happen. I don't think they're going to make
I think it'd be great.
I think it'd be really neat. I really do.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thanks for the information. Yeah, Saturday should be a good game.
Oh, it should.
Absolutely. Hey, keep it up, guys. Talk
Thank
to you.
you.
soon.
All right.
Bye.
Typical Kirk Ferentz, so I could see them going out Saturday and losing 28-10 and then going and winning 9 games. You know, I could see them winning on Saturday 28-10 and go on and winning 6 or 7 games. You can't form any conclusions on Iowa football based on week to week. You just can't.
No.
Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah. First point, I think the only reason they don't like the Kinnick House is because it's shaped like Kinnick. Because they could have built just a regular-looking house and still made it into a big party pad.
Yeah,
I guess, but if you can't see it, what difference does it make?
Yeah, what does it make?
Exactly. I mean,
well, the difference, too, is if somebody built their own big house and intended to just turn it into Woodstock every weekend,
well, sure.
you wouldn't know because the media wouldn't be writing about it because it's not the Kinnick House.
Yeah.
That could still happen.
Yeah.
The reason this is such an issue is because it got promoted and what have you. See, we got Keith Moon, John Bonham, and Woodstock, Captain. We're mixing them both together. Well, I think that is part of it, though, is all the hype that this thing has got.
G.G. Allen.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
They don't allow feces. They don't allow feces in that neighborhood. All right, go ahead, caller. Sorry, we're drifting.
And the second thing is the only possible way that Iowa State and Nebraska would play on the first is if, A, neither one of them are in the conference title game.
Of course.
And, B, I think it would have to be a neutral site. Because Nebraska's not going to want to come to Ames, and Iowa State sure as hell ain't going to go to Lincoln.
Well, no, and I wouldn't blame either one, but if you had to pick a side, it would make more sense because Nebraska Stadium holds more. I mean, and I think maybe it was Halas that said that they should split the gate and whatever. But if I'm Iowa State, I don't want to give up a home game for a road game at the end of the year at Nebraska.
No.
I don't want to do
Exactly.
that. I'm with you, caller.
And that's why I would think it would have to be a neutral site.
Yeah, I mean, Arrowhead Stadium, how's that?
Yep, hey, that works for us.
Soldier Field. There are a lot of different places you could dome. No, you're right. I mean, so we'll see, but I have a feeling they're just going to play 11 games this year.
Yeah, I do too, because I think the FCS teams can only have 11 games.
I believe that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so that pretty much
I believe so.
takes out any rescheduling with any of them, and everybody else except for Nebraska and Akron, who Iowa State plays in a few weeks already.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know how they're going to do it.
Nebraska.
No, I just don't know how they're going to.
12th game.
So
yeah.
So we'll see, and I do think it does give Iowa a little bit of an advantage, but you just never know. Now, somebody could counter, Iowa State could counter, well, you hardly got to see anything that we're doing this year. We can sneak up on you. So I think you can make arguments both ways. So I'd rather be the team that played one game, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get more than 5 plays under their belts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I say? Screw them.
The Cyclones?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get a lot of objectivity coming out of here.
You damn homers.
There you go.
I hope they get 18 more storms.
But, yeah, that was just kind of what I wanted to add.
Okay, no.
So.
Appreciate the
Thanks,
call, as
boys.
always.
Thank you.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of calls today.
So, yeah, I think it'll be a heck of a game.
Well, it has
really
been
do.
recently. I mean, but no, this is a time when both teams are pretty good. I mean,
which is kind of rare.
Do you think David Montgomery runs for 100?
Well, no, I don't think he does.
Hello.
Hey guys, how you doing this morning?
Hey Dave, how you doing?
Good. Great show there. And first of all, I was going to say, great to hear Coach Patterson and his take on the game.
He's really good.
It's a great great way to start Mondays off and that. No, I was down at the game Saturday with my son and one of his buddies he works with, and we sat high up in the south end zone and had a pretty good view of the game. I thought it was a good, solid game for the Hawks. I think a lot of people are not giving Northern Illinois, I mean, they have to earn it, but we beat a pretty good team, I think, Saturday. They didn't play as well, and I think we had something to do with it.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
But I think, and I know, like you said, they play Utah next Saturday, but I think they'll hold their own in the MAC and that and probably go to a bowl game. But anyway, it was a good, solid win. I wanted to say, like you say, I think the defense really helped turn the tide. Those two big stops in the first half after the block punt, that was a big one, keeping them off the board. And I know the guy missed the field goal, but the defense held. And then that pick by Amani Hooker. But the defensive ends, and we expect a lot out of them, Anthony Nelson, Parker Hesse, and A.J. Epinenza, and a couple of other guys. But they were relentless, and I think, like you said, I think we wore them down there about midway through the third quarter, and I think that changed the game. And I think that's the kind of effort we're going to need game in and game out. Plus, Mr. Nelson and Sam Brinks, I think, did a commendable job in the inside. Those guys are going to have
and
to be
Chauncey
solid.
Golston.
Yeah, I thought Chauncey Golston played well, too. Yeah, I'm not worried about defense, really. I'm not as confident as Tom as David Montgomery not rushing for 100, but I think they could give up 100 and still win the game. I just think it's going to be a really – well, obviously I picked Iowa State to win. I'm not the only Iowa beat writer that's picked Iowa State to –
No.
A lot of people think Iowa State's going to win this game. I hope I'm wrong. I just going by my gut feeling. But I also haven't beaten Wisconsin, and I didn't see anything from Wisconsin on Saturday that made me think, I better change my pick. They're typical Wisconsin. Sooner or later, I was going to win that game again.
The only reason I'm thinking that we have the advantage, if it ends up that way, I just think in order for Iowa to win the game, we're going to have to outrush them.
And see, that's where I don't think they can.
Well, and that's where we're differing.
Yeah, that's where I didn't see enough from Iowa on Saturday. You have to agree Iowa doesn't have a running back close to David Montgomery.
I do agree.
Yeah, David Montgomery could be the first running back taken in the draft. He's
I absolutely agree with
he's
you.
really
Yes.
good. So we'll see.
It's gonna be a heck of a ball game.
It sure is.
About Amani Jones there in the middle. I thought all of a sudden I didn't see him there. I was saying to my son and the guys, I thought he might have got dinged up, but
no.
I know you said he got pulled out, and I know he got back in the game late. It seemed like he struggled in his drops on the passing end of it, I think, is where
and I think he was out of position a couple times, too. And I'll tell you, Phil Parker's got a quick trigger these days. Remember what defensive back last year?
Did.
Phil Parker, one of the criticisms with Iowa over the years is they allow a guy to continue to struggle, and they don't make a change. That's not the case anymore. You struggle out there, they're going to come back, and they were able to come back with a senior, too. That helps. I mean, Jack Hockaday's a senior. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's good to see those guys that, like you said, that pay their dues. And
yes.
And he's not a big guy, but he's been a consistent guy on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pulling for Amani Jones, too. I know he'll come back.
I do, too. I am, too.
Hey, one other thing. I got to give kudos to the three offensive tackles for never starting the game. Well, Paulson has a couple of times, but young Mr. Collenberger from down here, Levi Paulson, and Dalton Ferguson, I thought, did an outstanding job as a fifth-year senior. I know
agree.
he played both left and right tackle, but overall those guys held their own.
He was
but
critical.
I think that's going to be the key, like you said, Pat, all year. If we're going to beat Iowa State, it's going to be our offensive line's got to be consistent. We got to be able to move the chain more often early in the game. We didn't get a lot of consistency in the first half, but once we got it going, it helped. But consistency and run and pass blocking is going to be the key the rest of the year. So go Hawks, and you guys do a great job.
Thanks,
hey,
Dave.
thanks so much for the call.
Thank you.
Okay, in the Gazette today, the Carlsons talk about the Kinnick House. They own the Kinnick House.
Uh-huh.
They say they'll keep sound down by only allowing cheering when KGYM gets a phone call.
Did you know he was going there?
I did not.
I did not know he was going there.
Okay.
So when they get a call, what happens?
I guess they allow cheering, so it will be a cheerless.
Was that harsh? Was that harsh, Suter?
Very harsh.
You just can't. You can't get G.J. Allen or 1600 out of your mind, because I don't bring up G.J. Allen anymore. It's usually you two bring up G.J. Allen.
Because you started it.
I just can't believe two guys who have been embedded in the music industry for years were not aware of G.J. Allen.
Not even remotely.
Not even
What
close.
is going on with that?
Not even close.
I bet Gene had heard of G.J. Allen.
No, let's not bring that up. Thank you very much.
So you're confident that she had not heard of GGL?
Yeah, I'm positive.
All right. We got a call?
No, that's okay, honey.
Hey, good morning.
Hello.
I'd like to point out something that I point out almost every year is that, like now, the big one's the Kinnick House. Well, there's 511 Melrose, which is an AA house that is a front for a private party house for some elite members of this community that can do everything that everybody else has been arrested for, busted for, fined for, but nobody does nothing there.
Can you get someone on the radio? We'd love to interview him. So what's going on?
Because, well, they went after, what, was it Barcelo?
Right.
I don't know.
He paved his backyard.
So
Can't do that.
And then started to really run a bar out of it. It's a little.
So is 511 Melrose every home game.
Well,
and it's an AA house, and they go inside and party during the games. And then the people that are there, I don't go there anymore, but have to clean up after them. And I'm telling you, to me, I'm more offended about that. It'd be like me going up every Saturday having a cigarette party on a cancer ward. But nobody's offended by that. They asphalted the entire backyard. There is not one iota of grass back there. No one's ever done anything about that.
Is it a place of business or anything?
No, it's an AA house.
It's not anything else?
Nothing.
Then I don't know.
Then, yeah.
And what I'm saying is it's been that way forever. And they can do whatever they want. They added more bathrooms.
It isn't like the Kinnick House, though, because nobody in that neighborhood is fighting it.
He wants them to fight it, though. That's
well,
why he's calling.
I understand. I'm just saying the Kinnick House they build, it's.
That's because it's a private individual, not a church. A church is doing this.
Oh, well,
I didn't.
Okay. Well,
What's the denomination?
I have no answers. I have no solutions.
It's Lutheran.
Well, I'm Catholic, so it doesn't matter then, I guess.
That's who
You're
owns
Jewish.
it.
Jewish.
And you don't believe in God, do you, Suter?
I would say I am spiritual, but not
overly spiritual.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But what I'm saying is that...
I get you, Jeff. Fine.
Is that they ought to hold the accountability across the board. But if you are the right people in this community, they don't do anything. You know, because, again, they don't want to look bad going after an AA house. But it's the AA house is just the front for a private party
For
club.
Al-Qaeda. No. All right.
Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda for alcohol.
I don't know what to say.
Thanks, Jeff.
I mean, if that is true, that's interesting. I mean,
it is interesting.
I mean, I was not aware of that. That seems like something you guys would jump all over.
Yeah.
I think you should send Lang out there to see what's going on.
The Lang?
The Hey Lang program?
The Hey Lang program out there. But have him... Oh, wait, he can't drink anymore, can he?
Hey, Tommy.
No, he can't drink.
I was going to say have him get all drunk before he goes out there.
No, I'm not.
Hey, Tommy, do you have good police reports?
Yeah, I do. Oh, yeah. It's a home football. I can say that I have been to that house, by the way.
Yeah. So is what he's saying true?
And, yeah, we've stopped there, actually. We had to pick Steve up there after the game on Saturday, and they just looked like they were all hammered.
That's kind of an odd combination.
Well,
It
one
is.
of them goes, how long are you going to be standing there?
Go Hawks.
I said, until I'm picked up. No, that's true. There were some of them that were hammered, that were like sitting on the porch.
All right.
Whoa.
Hello.
Good morning. It's lonely old Grandpa Dirk.
Hi, Dirk.
Tommy, police reports just got pushed back 20 minutes. I'm just kidding, Dirk.
Sorry, Tommy. Well, it is the first Monday after a home football.
And you've been part of the conversation, the Kinnick House.
I know.
So take it over, Dirk.
Well, first off, the north end zone was great. We have leg room now, and it's loud from before the first kickoff, you could tell the difference in sound.
That's
And
interesting.
there were points in the game where our ears were ringing.
On Saturday or before?
On Saturday.
Oh, we better move to the north.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that in spite of the porta potties and lack of concessions.
Oh, that's right. You were there. I thought you were talking about from your house.
And it's going to be louder, too, when they get that big-ass
Yes.
scoreboard
but
in
Dirk,
there,
did
too.
you hear we had somebody call in earlier, say they live in North Iowa City, and said the sound level from their house has changed considerably.
I did hear that.
I found
was
that
curious.
that's interesting. Some people probably like that.
When you live nearby, you just expect to hear it, and that's okay. I will say that I didn't hear anything on Friday when they usually do their test of the scoreboard to get levels right and all that. And we really didn't hear anything Saturday morning either. But, that kind of comes and goes with the wind and what have you, the weather. But that north end zone is really nice.
It is. I like it.
It was really interesting in how you get in and out of there.
Yes, it was.
The fences started right there at the bus terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you didn't even realize you were, technically inside the stadium until you stepped a few feet past the porta potty and go, oh, that was it.
Those club seats are going to look really neat. The only thing I don't like watching a football game from the end zone. I just never have.
I haven't either.
I'm
It's
spoiled.
great when the play's on your end of the field.
Yeah.
That safety, I'll tell you, it got loud during that.
I want to be on.
did.
I'm spoiled. I want to be between the 25 and 50 yard line. But
Me too.
not
I
everybody.
get it.
Can, but not everyone can sit there. I get it. But when I walked in there, and Tyler said the same thing. Tyler's like, this almost looks like an NFL stadium now from that side. It really does. It
really kind of does.
It changes the whole look of the thing. It's really neat. It really is.
Yeah. And as far as the Kinnick house, where allegedly they were having sex with animals all weekend. What I heard. It's what the neighbors were telling me. I wasn't around, so I don't know. Captain, it's really not. And I'm sorry, but kudos to Newt Rockney Cole because it's not. But it's not about how it looks. It's about the purpose of the place, and you have to live here to appreciate it. It wasn't an issue Saturday because things not done yet. But
your big worry, Dirk, is a bunch of cars, everybody coming in there on a consistent basis on football
They
Saturdays.
already are.
And
It's
cluttering
people
the
like
neighborhood.
Captain Steve who drive down here and can't find it.
Gawkers.
Well,
And it's
it's
been going
that,
on
but
for
what
a year and a half.
But what I see is like there were a lot of tents out. There were a lot of parties going
Where
on
did
at
you see
other
tents?
houses.
Where are tents?
There were we counted at least 4 or 5
in Dirk's neighborhood.
Big tents
No
in
way.
the neighborhood. Yes, I saw it last night.
Why would there be
tents last night?
Yes, and one was
If you're
blown
talking
over.
about up the street, there was a neighbor who had a big barbecue and blues bash on the corner
that's
of
probably
River
what
and
that.
Wolf,
Oh,
and they had tents.
Well, look, they got tents. They were having.
Well, they were having a big food fest and music.
Okay. Well, then maybe the people in Kinnick House want to have a big
Blues fest.
Blues fest of music.
Okay,
I don't
first
know.
off, they don't have room to do something outside,
And I
that's
don't
fine.
understand Ackerman at all.
And if they're doing it inside, what's the concern?
You
I mean,
know,
it's not the Spawn
because
Ranch.
they don't
I mean,
have a roof over the field portion of the house. It's a big open air party patio.
But Dirk, I mean, are these people? Like I said, I'm joking, but are these just hardcore drink, headbutt, vomit type people? Or,
Again, the noise, I don't think that's an issue for anybody. The issue is how do you get 200 extra people on that little tiny street? How do you
So they're
going to
have 200
no
people.
Parking.
They're going to have consistently 200 people at
It's
their
what
house.
it holds, and if you were invited to go eat and drink free a couple blocks from Kinnick Stadium in a replica house, wouldn't you go?
Probably not.
Probably
but I'm
not.
not the typical
No,
person.
I
to
wanna
have.
see- No, I already have a place to tailgate.
I probably wouldn't. I'm not a big. That's just not my thing. I'm not
Well,
saying
I don't
others
think
wouldn't.
it's going to be, hey, everybody come in.
No, I
either,
just think
isn't it just as
it-
friends and stuff.
I just think you need to wait because, like I said, people are making this sound like it's going to be the Spawn Ranch, and it's just
free beer doesn't mean anything to me.
The
I spend
issue
$20 on beer. Who cares?
The issue is where do you put the people? How do they get there? There's no place to park. It's already a very congested neighborhood.
I'll
on
give you
gate
that.
day.
Those streets are narrow, and I'm not convinced that these people every weekend are going to have 200 people at their. I mean, what if they have like
I
20?
think they will.
I mean, what are these, the most popular?
Why would you build it if you don't fill
Because
it
you
up
can,
with your friends?
Because they can.
Because he can.
To me, though, I would rather have.
Rock Nicole, he can say, I mean, they can come up with, you can't do this anywhere else and everything, and then that's
And
up
they
to the
should.
city council. Maybe they should.
I can't
I'm
believe
not
you guys-
arguing with you, but as far as doing anything with this now, he can't do anything with this.
I can't believe you didn't react to my Spawn Ranch comparison.
I liked it.
You liked it? No reaction from you.
I liked it.
You like it, Suter?
I liked it a lot.
What is the Spawn Ranch? Is that
Captain?
where
It's
Charles
Charles
had his
Manson.
crew?
Yeah, it's Charles Manson.
Yes, they took over that area. They ruined a good neighborhood.
They did. They did.
Out in the desert.
Yeah.
No.
But no matter how you slice it, they shoehorned a very large structure that, frankly, it's really kind of ugly.
I mean, your
It doesn't
neighborhood
look
is
anything
cluttered.
like
When I drive over there, those streets are narrow. It is hard to navigate. I'm just not convinced every weekend's going to be Woodstock. I don't know. I just
every home game it will be.
So let's say they have 30 people there. How
30.
much traffic would that be?
Well, here's the thing. The street's already filled on Friday night with employees who work at Kinnick overnight, security, and whoever the food prep people are. It's already packed by, Friday at 8 o'clock. And so on game day Saturday, there is literally nowhere to park. Nowhere. None.
Okay,
Zero.
and then you say you know for a fact that they're going to have at least 200 people at all these games, or are you just speculating because you don't want this to happen?
No. I don't want it to happen.
I know, but
it's going to happen.
But how do you know that? What do you has the guy said we're going to have at least, or are you just assuming the worst?
The guy has said the
for
opposite.
The structure.
Okay, I'm not saying that's. I
people.
understand that, but that doesn't mean they're going to have 200 people. Have I missed
they
something?
will.
Okay, what are you basing that on? Are you just basing that on because
logic?
Okay, then we know you're not going anywhere. All right, well, it could be right, but we don't know for a fact that they're going to have 200 people every weekend, do we?
No.
They've never said that.
Well, they didn't have 200 last weekend.
It's not done.
Well, but they still could have had a party.
No, they couldn't. I don't think so. There's nothing in there.
But you're basically just assuming, Dirk. You don't have any facts. You haven't read anything. This guy hasn't come out and said, "Hey, every Saturday we're turning."
The guy
that.
said we're going to be good neighbors. That's what the guy said.
Right. They're not even going to live there. How are you neighbors when you don't live there?
Listen, they
The
don't
only
care.
purpose
They
of
have
that
got
is for
so much
parties.
money that they could buy this radio station with a change in their pocket.
You're hoping they will.
People like that. Oh, pray, dear God, listen to it. The fact of the matter is, people with that much money just do this crap. They might not even be here for every game. I mean, they just do this crap. They got all.
And
this
Dirk, I'll tell you, if
money.
they do have 200 people there every weekend, and I'll sympathize with you because that will be a problem. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, I
that would be
agree
a
with it,
problem.
but I'm just not convinced that's not going to happen. If it does, I'll be on your side.
I'd be really surprised if it didn't, because why would you build it if you don't fill it up?
Because
you can.
Because they
And
don't care.
To me, having 30 people at a house like that's a lot of people. I mean, but 200. I mean,
Gasky says if the street is already packed, then the house can't add any more.
Say that again, Steve.
If the street's already packed with vendors and people like that,
He's right.
There are no vendors on our street.
No, not vendors, but people getting ready to vend at Kinnick.
Yeah. There's not going to be any place to park. They're going to have to bring them in by bus or have some kind of whatever
catapult,
Uber, taxi, whatever.
Good REM song.
Well, so if they bring in a shuttle, what do you care?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. It's a little, tiny, narrow, short street, and there's no place to turn around, so you've got to back out. Right, Steve? You had to do the same thing when you came down Sunday night.
Okay, but then really...
Maybe they'll drop them off at the front part.
Tell them to walk.
And then where do they... But you've still got to back up because it's a dead-end street.
Well, cars have reverse. You just put it in reverse and back up.
But, okay. So that all sounds real logical until you
Thank you.
until you consider the fact that the street is packed. It's one lane because of all the parking on the narrow streets in the neighborhood.
Well, they won't be able to
And
get
other
down there
people are
anyway.
coming
then.
and going.
But then if that's the case, they'll be like, hey, we can take the shuttle to here, to this point.
We'll drop them off.
Drop
at
you
the-
off, then you're
right
on your
here.
own to there. And then,
Yeah.
I don't know. I sympathize with you, Dirk, but I think you're making it worse than it may be just because you're pissed it's coming.
If it were just me, then maybe I'd think you're onto something. But it's not. And there are enough people way smarter than me.
And all
who have
assuming there's going
studied
to be,
this.
and they're all making the same assumption. It's going to every night weekend's going to be Woodstock. Studio 54. There's another reference.
Well,
is it going to be more Woodstock, Studio
It's
54,
already,
or the Spawn Ranch?
It's
What would
already
you say?
Woodstock-like. It's already that way.
Oh, please.
Have you been down here on game day? No.
No, but I guarantee if
Yeah,
I go
you
down
just
there,
said there was nobody there.
If I go down there on game day, I'll bet my life there's not people having sex right out in the middle, bathing, and I don't think Richie Havens is there. I mean, it's
not what I heard. I
it's
heard
not
there were
what's-
animals being
Love
abused.
Richie Havens to be there. I'd
Would
love
you-
him to be here. I'd love him to be alive.
So,
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, like I
Yeah,
said,
we
if
will.
it turns into what you're saying, Dirk, I will be on your side. I just need to see it first.
Yeah. Well, come down here sometime.
No, the
before a
streets are
game.
too narrow. I don't like
Well,
going
you
down
just said you just yelled at me for coming down.
there. Yeah, I mean, God, it sounds like if I drive my car down there and slow down, a bunch of neighbors are going to come out and get him out of here.
Pat, where do you park on game day? Where are the
ramp,
working
ramp
media?
3, right by the painted water tower.
Uh-huh.
Yep, right
That
there.
was
In the ramp
one
there.
complaint I do have about the north end zone. Is
blocks the water tower.
It blocks the water tower.
God
I mean, I can see.
I
that
have a
from
lovely
across,
view of it.
Well,
But
I can
did it
see
show
it,
up well
but
on TV, the water tower, I mean?
I don't know. I was there.
I watched the second half, but I can't remember. I wasn't paying attention to that, so I don't
wasn't
know.
either. I've never been big. I think it's great for the people that wanted it. I just never
The
cared.
TV actually they tried to show it, but the Kinnick House was blocking.
'Cause there's- well, actually, by
I'm
the
sorry.
by the
I'm
second
sorry, Dirk.
by the second half, the drunk people from the Kinnick House were being arrested for climbing on the water tower, weren't they? And they all said they had been.
They were on their way to 511 Melrose.
Yes, yes. All right, we're done. Is this show ever going to end?
Oh God!
God.
Oh my God!
What about the
Happy
police?
76th birthday to Al Jardine of the Beach Boys.
All right.
He can still hit those high notes.
Can he really?
Yeah, he really can.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
a really good singer.
They
he was a high school football teammate of Brian Wilson. That's how they met.
Wow, were they good?
I guess they sang in the shower together.
There you go.
Thank you, Dirk.
Thanks,
You're
Dirk.
welcome.
We'll end on that note.
AllHawkeyes.com. Get your subscription today.
Iowa City's news first, 24 hours a day at 1630 KCJJ.com. Powered by Lucky's Market at the Iowa City Marketplace.